Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to go through and do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, commodities, ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go. If you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com, where I dive deeper into all of these topics into individual companies. I just released a midweek update. Today, it's uploaded to the website, and you can check it out and see what I am buying real time. So let's dive in here. Let's take a look and see what is going on in the markets today. Looking at the dollar, that's where we always start. I still think that this looks a little bit weak in the short term. The way that I view these is the larger selling pressure candlesticks, and then you see the small bounce. Big selling pressure, small bounce. Big selling pressure, small bounce. It's that type of pattern recognition that I'm seeing where we could continue lower. Now, short term, anything can happen. You can get a reversal candlestick at any point, and in the short term, my mind will change on a dime. That's what occurs in short term market trading. You flip back and forth very quickly, and you can be bullish and bearish at a drop of a hat in a single day or even a half day on a strong reversal candlestick. When you back out and you kind of get more bullish or bearish on a different time frame, then you look at things, you say, well, this is a big bull move. We could potentially pull back for a little while. And this here is more or less just a crude oil chart. Crude oil moves interest rates, and then the movement of interest rates moves the dollar. That's my take on it. And then during different time frames, you can have strength in an economy and weakness in an economy. The strength and inflation was this. The weakness is this bounce and consolidation back down. I do think that this could potentially work its way on up. I know that sounds weird if we get a big move in oil eventually. And I can't tell you that exact moment. But right now we've had weakness in oil. We've had rates been moving sideways. And I think the market is trying to figure out where exactly rates will go here in the short term. And right now it looks like we could potentially head lower into the strength of that support for the dollar there. So when we look at yields, yields should match the dollar going lower. And that's exactly what we see. Yields dropping is leading to a weaker dollar, in my opinion. Now, what I do is I back out and I say, okay, we're at support, and there's a lot of support in this entire box there with all of this trading that occurred in these sections. So that's all the support that we've got underneath us. So are we going to blow down through all that? Probably not. We'll probably pause in a lot of these areas before heading lower if we do go lower. So what we're trying to basically, what Powell is trying to basically manage here is he's trying to manage the economy and inflation simultaneously. We've got inflation. He wants to leave rates up, but if the economy cannot handle it, then more than likely we'll see rates go down. And if they drop like a rock, if they do this, then that generally is an indication of problems in the market when it starts to drop like a rock like these right there. We haven't done that yet. So what am I doing? Absolutely nothing. I'm going to wait and watch. Looking at the 10-year yield, that's in a similar situation, very much like the 2-year yield. We back out, and what we see is a big downtrend that has been broken to the upside. Long term, we're going higher. Now, that doesn't mean we go higher the entire time. So we go and we dive into the short term, and we very well could come back here or back here or somewhere lower than where we're at today on a different time frame. So I'm bearish a little bit in the short term, massively bullish for higher rates in the longer term. And these rates being flung around will also are also impacted by oil's movements. and there's a high correlation between oil and interest rates. The 30-year yield also, you can see we've got this big selling pressure, kind of a bearish candlestick coming up, a bear flag, and a potential move lower, maybe back towards 3.5% or something. Very well a possibility. And the reason you want to understand this is because when interest rates move up and down, they can impact certain assets either favorably or unfavorably. When interest rates go down, that's when gold and silver usually go up. And especially when the yield curve uninverts, you'll see a big move in metals. TYX TNX ratio, we're up slightly today, and it does look like we could go up further where maybe there is a little bit further weakness in yields. Very well could be the case for a period of time. This is going to be absolutely fantastic for precious metals. And every time you can get your hands on metals in these circle periods, it's been very rewarding as an investor to ride it on up. I do think that the gold and silver mining companies will also do very well. And sometimes when they go and they uninvert, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of the other assets that are outside of precious metals will necessarily do poorly. They can still do well. I'm just using this as a gauge for gold and silver, and this is your buy point right in that X area there. TLT heading up a little bit. Yields were down, and that does look like it's gaining some momentum. We'll see if that momentum continues. So we could see in the short term weaker dollar and weaker yields. And then the 2 and 10, surprisingly, the yield curve is staying inverted. So what does that mean? It means that the long end of the curve is dropping some, and the short end of the curve is remaining a little bit more resilient than the 10-year. So the 2-year has been more steady. It drops, but it doesn't drop as much as the 10-year. So gold likes that. It likes it. It's up $27. Now, is this going to continue to go up? Or are we going to see the continuation here of a flag pattern that goes down? Right now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know. I look at this, I can see strength building today, but I know that we came from the top side down. So the general rule of thumb is if you enter patterns that are coming from a downside up and they face slightly downward, those are generally bullish continuation patterns that head upward. Then you can get some strong selling pressure. And right now, we've got just kind of this slightly upward facing, potentially bear flag that goes down. But yields and the dollar aren't necessarily agreeing with that in the short term. So again, we'll see how this plays out. We've got silver also kind of, it was up today, 1.7%. We do have a pretty big bearish engulfing right before us. It could be a inverted bloody nose. And we could head a little bit lower in the short term. We do have good support here at the 28-ish dollar region going across here. So that's what I'm seeing. Would I play this in the short term? I would not. I would play it for the long-term big move. I'm not trading in and out. I think this is just going to be a setup for a move higher. That's what I think is occurring. And we're just in a consolidation. These consolidations, when you try playing them in the short term, can F you up. That's what I'll say. They can mess with you. It can turn and twist you around. Sometimes the corrections can be violent. And then they turn you from a bullish long-term investor into a bearish short-term mindset, like you're going to try to time this stuff in the short term. And then it rips to the upside and leaves you in the dust. And now that you sold down here, you don't want to buy it back up here. It is very tough to do that from a psychological standpoint. Platinum, up a little bit today. We still have some downside momentum that we're going to have to work off here in the short term. And we're trying to break through this resistance level going across that trend line. And then palladium's up 2%. That's right on support. And we've got a nice little bullish engulfing candlestick. We'll see if we can go sideways or up is my guess with that bullish engulfing that we've got today. So I do think that support is still holding. We've got XAU to gold ratio. Some people are preferring to position an XAU versus gold today. And we've got this breakout here, and we could get a retest back. If we get a retest, And again, guys, I'm not playing the short term. Uh, if we do get a retest, that's going to be one heck of a buying opportunity. I think that we're going to go way higher in gold and silver mining companies. And I'm sure I'm probably in the minority with that. And the reason I'm in the minority and the reason I'm buying it is because I'm in the minority. You want to be a, oh my gosh, it just slipped my mind there. You want to be contrarian. You want to go opposite of everyone else, and that's how you make the money. And then when everyone else starts to flip their opinions on the sector, that's when the money starts rolling in continually. It's people having a negative sentiment or viewpoint, flipping from negative to positive, that continues to fuel bull markets until everyone is sucked in, basically like NVIDIA. So CRB index, I'm not getting updates on CRB. I don't know why, but it's just been moving sideways. We've got GDX right on support. I don't think it looks that bad. So would I be buying here? I shared what I would be doing in my midweek updates. What I've been doing. GDXJ, I also think it doesn't look too bad. We've got a little bit of selling pressure here. We're right underneath resistance. So I would be looking for a breakout here to the upside. We've got all this momentum. It hit its head on resistance where the X is, and we're just kind of flagging out where we could break and make our next move higher after a little resting period here. And then SILJ is doing the same thing. We were up today, a little bit of selling pressure there. We're coming back to support, and we've had a monster bull, monster move, not bull, monster run, and just a little bit of selling pressure here. I'm going to remain bullish. And I think eventually what this could potentially be setting up for, and hopefully I'm not too bullish, guys, is I think that this is a pattern that we're going to probably break and work our way on up to much higher levels. And the reason I have that opinion is because the XAU, gold and silver mining companies, to gold is at a very low ratio and has a long runway to appreciate against the physical metals itself. Crude oil changing a little bit today, up 1.22%. And we do have a bullish engulfing. That's generally a good sign for sideways to higher action. And it's a reversal candlestick, so it looks really good. Would I be a buyer down here? Yeah, I would. Yes, I would. And there are a lot of companies that I think are in good buy points for energy service and crude oil right now. TTF gas down a little bit, but overall, guys, you got to be bullish when you start breaking all of these patterns. So when we look and we start holding, and then we start making some of these big green candlesticks, small sell-off, yes, it could go down, and yes, we could see some volatility, but we're up against support. We've bounced off that support. The support's this horizontal line, and I think it's just going to continue higher. We've got natural gas up 7% in America. We hit our head on some resistance here, there. Been kind of going back and forth. The lows are coming up, and then we've got the highs right through here. So we're creating a pattern that's going to break to the upside, I think. We are also coming from a double bottom. There's the double bottom here. We had momentum generating here, but unfortunately, we had a pretty warm winter, which drove us back down into this very low level. Natural gas is probably one of the most undervalued commodities at this time. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me, had a rough couple of days back here, but we'll see if we can hold this support level, which we're holding at the moment, and see if we can generate some upside with crude oil getting that bullish engulfing candlestick. But right now we're at the neckline of this big shoulder, head, shoulder, which is generally a bottoming pattern. And we could move to a land far, far away to the upside. But there could be deeper things behind the scenes here. Even though we've got really good patterns here, I know the government does not want oil to go up, probably during the election year. And also they need to refill their strategic petroleum reserve. And they're also, crude oil is highly correlated with interest rates. So they are the gatekeeper of interest rates. They are they're the number one manipulated, thing in the world. And they don't want rates to probably go up too high. So who knows what goes on in the crude oil markets because of the correlations between all those. OIH right on support down at that $300 level. I think it's something to look at, and I'd like to see some buying pressure here first for me to get really excited. We've had some strong kind of downward moves here, and you can see these upward candlesticks breaking every single time there. So it comes in, consolidates, breaks out, breaks out, breaks out. That is bearish in the short term. We got to see some big green candlesticks show up. The green army is what I'll call it. It hasn't showed up yet. Sprott Uranium Trust continuing to sell off. That momentum is still to the downside. I don't see it reversing yet. We've got URA also slightly lower, but if the equities are holding on, right kind of at support, we'll see what occurs next. We do see some strong selling pressure, weak bounce, stronger selling pressure. URNM also selling off some. And to me, this is all pointing perhaps to lower interest rates. Lower interest rates, energy sectors don't like that. And we're seeing oil, gas, well, not really gas, but oil and uranium kind of sell off here a little bit. And URNJ also selling off here in the short term, down 1.3%, right at that area of support. TAN up 2.36%. It likes the lower interest rates. This could be favorable for a period of time, and we'll see if this can break to the upside. And again, I'm not a huge fan of TAN. I'd rather be playing it with silver 100%. Copper up today 2%, but guys, we've broken the downtrend line. This is going to consolidate. I'm still in the camp that this could go lower or consolidate sideways. We've got COPX up today. It's at this support region there, and it's getting some support. We still have downside momentum, and that momentum needs to be switched and turned around, which we'll see if it can do that here. Lithium up a little bit, and these are all the inflation-sensitive assets that like lower interest rates. So these are all going to start heading higher if we get lower interest rates. Now, how sustaining are those rates to the downside? That is the question. I don't know. A lot of people don't know that. But this is finding some support. REMX finding a little bit of support. This could be, it's getting close to where it could break to the downside, but we'll monitor it. S&P 500 up today. It likes oil lower, and I'm sure there are reasons that they want to try to push oil lower from a presidential election standpoint, from filling the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, for boosting the stock prices. It makes sense when you look at it from that perspective. NASDAQ also up to the upside, and that is breaking into new all-time highs, so that is pretty strong. Russell 2000 also up today. We have a bearish setup before this. You can see we broke out, retest. That still looks like it wants to go lower, but lower rates and perhaps oil prices being a little bit lower. It seems like money likes to rotate into these S&P, NASDAQ, and Russell. Moving sideways in regional banks. Not much to really say there, but it's been strong with declining interest rates. Emerging markets likes the declining interest rates and lower dollar, which then prices foreign currencies a little bit more attractively, which then people run into those foreign currencies stock markets so they can get a foreign currency exchange rate that's favorable and hold the assets of the emerging market areas. XHB loving the lower interest rates, heading higher today. And if we continue to get lower rates, I do think this will continue to go way up. I think we're going to get like a blow-off move in home builders towards the end of this expansionary phase. And it could be a very big move, just like the early mid-2000s, stuff like that. MOO, it's right at support. I think it looks good. I think it looks good. Good entry point here for agribusiness ETF. Right at support. We've got iron ore moving up a little bit today. It looks like it's trying to find some support and work its way on up. We've got nickel down I'm still bullish nickel though, guys. The momentum's upward. We got some selling pressure here. It may consolidate for a little bit and then work its way on up, but I would be bullish for the longer term. Aluminum down 0.95%. And this is working its way on up. And another thing for those that think that we are in a recession, if we're in a recession, then why is nickel, aluminum, and copper going up? Explain that to me if we are in this huge recession. We are coming on back. It looks like the selling pressure is subsiding to some degree, but it looks like it might take some time to turn here. But momentum's to the upside for aluminum. Baltic Dry Index up against support. I like it where it's at, and I do think this is going to work its way on up. This is coal. Coal down a little bit today, down 2%. But again, we've broken the downtrend line. Up, 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 up. I don't care what it does in the short term here. You break things, and you could have a return move. I would still be bullish from a bullish mindset when you break downtrends. We also have broken this big consolidation period, stage 1, stage 2, big move up, retest. This is generally where you want to get in. So I'm very bullish on coal. Bitcoin up 1.3%. Looks good to go higher. I don't see anything here to be bearish about. Ethereum also looking pretty good. And again, I would be bullish. I don't see reversal candlesticks in here. Everything looks pretty good, and we're probably just going into some resistance at the highs here. SMCI up 4%, still looks good to go higher. We've got the big bullish breakout and the small selling pressure candlesticks back to a retest. So this could go up. And then NVIDIA, I'm sure it's probably up today. Yeah, up 5.16%, looking bullish. It was up, God, we're up to $3.01 trillion. That is insane, guys. Insane. But yeah, it's up and it looks good at the current time. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website if you guys like. Mayday coupon code is still active if you want to use it. If you're a monthly member, you can always move to the yearly membership with that coupon code for further savings if you'd like it. We do have a question and answer session coming up on Saturday at 7 a.m. If you want to ask me anything you want, we usually do a little training session in the beginning. I know some people wanted me to talk about, I wrote it down, when to go risk on, when to go risk off, and looking at some of the key financials. We can do some of that stuff during the question and answer session, and we can dive into whatever other questions you guys have. So that's what I've got for today. We'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.